AUTOCHESS is here for the PlayStation, and it's actually working. I mean, I kind of can't believe it, but here we are. You know, if more people cared about AUTOCHESS than they did Cyberpunk, this would have been huge news that this game kept releasing and not working. But here it is. AUTOCHESS is here for the PS4 and PS5, and it is fine. I kind of have some issues with it, if I'm being honest. I think the way a lot of the controls work is not very good, but fine. It's here, and I'm having fun playing it, and I wanted to give you some beginners tips and tricks. Now, these are really beginner stuff, but if you don't know much about AUTOCHESS, you're really new to the format of that genre in general, I think some of this will help you a lot. So, without further ado, this is Jake, your resident content cowboy. Yeehaw. If you like the video, a like, a thumbs up, if you will, some comments, I would appreciate that. Let's get right into it with tip number 1. My first big tip for someone really new to this genre is to understand the overall win condition. What I mean is, what matters in this entire match? There are tons of rounds that make up a match of AUTOCHESS, and you don't have to win them all to win. You've got to win the ones near the end. So this game that you're actually watching right here, I lose most every match, or excuse me, most every round for a while because I'm building my team in a certain direction. But by the end, I get all the way to the end and get first place with having very little life left because I had a plan for how I was going to build and what I wanted to see happen with my team. Now, when you're new, you're not going to have any idea exactly how to build. I would really recommend following one of the recommended lineups that they have. It will tell you which characters to buy, and it gives you just a really good basic strategy for how to progress through the match. And they're really, really useful. But my big thought is, don't stress about winning every round, especially early on. It's totally fine to not win all the rounds. You don't have to buy every unit on the board so that you can hopefully have something that beats your opponent. You don't lose a ton of life early on when you lose a round. So don't stress, just know that you're building towards something, and hopefully your team will come together and you'll start winning rounds as it progresses. So that's tip number 1. Know how to win. You want to get all the way to the end, and it's okay if in the beginning you are not crushing it. Trust me. Tip number 2 is to understand the economy of this game. So you have a certain amount of gold that you can buy these units for. You can see the ones here listed for 1, 2, 3. As it continues, they're worth 4 or 5 gold as you get into later rounds. Let me talk basically about the economy, and then we'll move into experience after this. So the economy of the game, you get gold at the end of each round. If you're on a winning streak, you get a little extra gold. I believe you get some on a losing streak as well. I know some games have that. This game actually might not. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that, but it's irrelevant. So you get money based on your winning streak, but most importantly, you get money based on interest. This is one of the best ways to generate money inside the game, and it's why you don't just buy every single character you see, because you want to have money in the bank so you can start generating interest. You can look at it right now. I have 9 gold. And in this moment, I sell one of my board, one of the people who's not going to be on my board that's just kind of in my back row here, so that I can have 11 gold. Well, what does that do? Having 11 gold gives you 1 extra gold a round, 10%. Having 20 gives you 2, 33, 44, all the way up to 50, and you get 5 extra gold at the end of each round. After that, you don't get any more. You don't get more for 60, 70, 80, 90, and it caps at 100. So you do want to spend your gold at some point, but you want to start to build up a good amount of economy so that later in the game you can start to do what's called rolling and upgrading your units. Again, if you're watching this match, I am getting trounced through most of it. But I'm just being patient. I'm buying units if I really want them, like I just bought that unit so that I could star up and get a level 2 unit. But otherwise, I'm not buying things I don't need, and I'm trying to focus on having a good economy. There are a couple different things that you want to keep in mind throughout this, and your economy is almost the top. It's right up there with your health, because if you have no money, you can't buy the units you need to buy. I could go really, really in depth with this, but my big thought is early on, be patient, save your money. Obviously buy things if it's great for your build. If you're building, let's say, warriors, for instance, and you see a few warriors you absolutely want, or you could buy multiple units and star up someone, well, great, go ahead and do that. But you don't need to buy things and go, oh, I think I'm building this, I think I'm building that, maybe I'll use this guy at some point, who knows? Don't worry about it. Don't stress. It's okay to lose a few rounds. Next, I want to talk about one of the other most important things that you're going to be monitoring throughout this, and that is your experience level. The higher your experience level, the more guys you can put out on the board. Once you are at level 10, which is the max level, you can have 10 units on the board. Once you're at level 4, you can have 4 units. You get it. In between is about the same. 5 is 5, 6 is 6. So as you are going to get the ability to level up. It costs 4 gold to buy 4 experience, and you can see my experience down there at the bottom of the screen. You also get 1 experience point every round that you play. So you don't have to buy experience until a little later, around level 7 and beyond. You kind of have to buy experience to make it to the next levels. You're not going to get there naturally. But that's another thing that you want to manage. You want to notice, okay, let's say I have 35 gold, and I can use 4 of it to jump up in another level and put another unit on the board and possibly win this next round. That is a great way to spend your money. You also can do what I normally do, which is wait until you're plus 50 gold and spend down that entire amount towards gaining levels. I know a lot of this is going to sound like, Jake, what on earth are you talking about, my man? It will all make sense the more you play, which is, of course, the biggest piece of advice I think you can give anyone. But the experience level really, really matters. It's something that you're going to want to notice. So, again, if you're at a perfect point where 4 experience gets you another level and you think having an additional unit on the board, maybe it completes one of your race alliances and gives you a big bonus, then I think that's a good time to go for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't start putting points into it until you're plus 50 gold. I hope that helps. If you haven't played this game, you won't know what I'm talking about, but playing it a little, you'll start to go, oh yeah, I see it. I don't need to spend too much on experience early on, but later when I have way more gold than is generating interest, then I can do it. Speaking of putting units down and having alliances, I'm honestly not sure if they're called alliances in this game. I'm sorry if they're not, but they were in other auto chess style games. You can see that big box on the top right of my screen. It shows that I have a mage alliance, and it shows all these other race alliances that I'm working towards. Each one of your units has one, I think it's 2 or more races involved in them, at the most 3. You can see my little 2-star mage guy over here is a human mage. I'm looking at different alliances right now. There's dragon, there's divinity, assassin, warrior. The more units you get in these, you can start to gain large bonuses from them. And this is how you're going to want to look at the game as far as your build. So let's say you've got 3 warriors. All of a sudden, having 3 warriors, your team is much stronger than having 2. Infinitely stronger than having 2. And having 6 warriors is so much stronger than having 5, because the alliance bonuses are attained at certain levels. So you're going to want to look at this box in the top right. You're going to want to go through it, and you're going to want to see what you need to get each alliance level. And you can also see what units are not in your team yet but are coming up. I think the controls are not super great on the PlayStation because I'm not able to really go through each of the units. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm still trying to figure out all the controls. They're not super great. But you can look at these alliances and you can see, oh, okay, I need that mage, then I'll have 6 mages and I'll be really, really strong. My next tip here is about items and about positioning. So as you can see, you can place your units anywhere you want on your side of the map, and there are a lot of reasons to do so. And there are some really great in-depth videos about auto chess and about why you should place certain units in certain places. I will just say this, the game has a few auto positioning features. Using L1 and X, you can auto position your units to one of 3 groupings. Test this out, figure it out. Once you start seeing the way the game places your units, you'll start to understand why. You'll see, oh, they put this melee guy sort of out front and they protected my wizards back here so that an archer couldn't, excuse me, so an assassin couldn't get to them. So you'll start to notice how the game positions units, and it will give you a good idea of what is very smart. And you'll notice what works really well if you have a unit that happens to have a large area attack special that triggers at some point. Oh, okay, that's why he's in the back, and that's why he's positioned sort of at a diagonal so he can hit everybody. So when you start, just use the auto position. Move it around between rounds. If you lose a round, switch up your positioning. And especially once you start placing new units down, switch up your positioning. The next is items. This game does a really bad job of letting you combine items compared to doing it on your phone or on the PC. I really think they should have just pretended you had a mouse cursor on this. I don't know why they didn't, but fine, they didn't. One thing you can do is auto-equip your units. Using L1 and circle any items you get, the game will prioritize them to who they think is the best. I don't think these are necessarily your best choices, but just as you start, let the game take control of some of the more basic things for you. A big tip that I think is very useful for people is to just start building your team without any preconceived notions and then go with the flow of what's happening. In this game that you're watching, I had a very specific idea in mind that I was going to build mages, and honestly, had I not gotten somewhat fortunate and had other people not been building the same thing, I'll talk about that in just a moment, I might have gotten pretty screwed with this. So as the game's starting, if you're just picking up a few units and you find out, oh, you know what? It looks like I've got a warrior build starting, or I've got an assassin build starting. Go with the flow. Go with the flow of the units you're getting. Now, of course, as you start to get later, you're going to want to stick to a plan. So in the beginning, I think be malleable. Be free to take any type of build that starts coming your way. But then as the game progresses and you get plus 50 gold and you start leveling yourself up to levels 7, 8, 9, and 10, be very intentional about which units you buy. Don't just buy someone because it looks cool. Buy a warrior because it looks really cool. Oh, also, that guy right there. The Strange Egg. If you saw me pick that up, the Strange Egg, it's a really, really cool unit. What it does is you need 3 of the same type of unit to star them up and put them together. And then once you are going to a level 3 unit, you need 3 2-star units. So it takes a lot of getting the same unit to get them to level up. That little egg lets you put it on 2 units that are already together and then levels them all up. It's really, really useful, so you don't have to find a specific unit that you just can't seem to get. Where is the next level of this guy? Ugh. Keep an egg around, put it on one of your higher units. I think I later use it to level up a Zeus, if I'm right, or one of the higher mages inside the game. They're really, really, really useful. So I always pick up those strange eggs when I see them. This tip might be getting into more of the advanced realm, but I just figured I'd mention it. As I said earlier, I might have gotten lucky because other people weren't building the same things. Everyone is getting units from a shared pool of units. So what does that mean? Basically what that means is if I'm buying up every mage I can find, and my opponent is also buying up every mage I can find, since you're going against 8 people, the person who's buying, or you're going up against 7, you're the 8th, sorry. The person who maybe is building warriors and no one else is building warriors is going to have an easier time finding all his units because you are playing from a shared pool of characters. If 3 or 4 people are all going for the same build, it's going to be so tough to find it. You can look at your opponent's boards and see what they're building. I would say that's a little more advanced than a beginner tip, but I just wanted to let you know that is what's happening in this game. So when you think, why can't I find this archer? I'm looking for this guy. Where is it? Where is it? It's very possible that someone else has been buying up a ton of that unit. So there are few of them left in the pool. Another tip that I think is pretty beneficial, but you might not notice it at first. When you're on your unit buying page, if you hit L3, it will, which is clicking in your left stick, by the way. If you hit that, it will let you know the percentages of what kind of units are going to show up. Units come up as 1 gold, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 5. And as you could guess, for the most part, units are better as you get higher up. A 5 gold unit is better than a 1 gold unit. Now, a 3-star 1 gold unit might be the rock star of your team, but just in general, that's kind of how that works. They're more and more rare as it goes, and as you increase in level, going from level 5 to 6, 6 to 7, etc., your experience level, you have a higher chance of finding the bigger units, the 4s and 5s. What this means for players just starting out would be, if you're looking to level up a 2 gold or 1 gold unit, that's probably going to happen earlier in the game, or star up as it's called in this game. If you're looking to star up, go from 1 star to 2 star, etc. And if you're looking to star up a high expense unit, a 4 or a 5, you're probably going to find them more often once you're levels 8, 9, and 10. 10 specifically has the highest chance of finding the biggest, while when you're level 1, you have a 0 chance of finding any of those units. You mainly find 1 and 2 stars, and as you continue to level, it continues to grow that way. But that's just a good thing to keep in mind. So when you're level 4, you're probably not going to spend a ton of time trying to level up your biggest units, but you will find a lot of your 1s, 2s, and 3s. Again, not huge, because you're going to start to understand that later, who you're trying to build towards and what 5-star unit you want to get and stuff like that, or 5 gold unit. But in general, it's just good to understand you're not going to find some of these bigger units until you're a higher level, like levels 8, 9, and 10. My final tip is, the tip with any game. Get in there, play it. Don't worry about winning or losing as you start. Just start understanding the system. Start understanding putting together a team and seeing what happens. Play around where you go, screw it, I'm just going to build archers. I just want to see what happens if I only try to do it. You'll probably lose, because when you're only trying to build one thing, it doesn't always work out. But the match I'm doing right now, I built really, really hard, specifically into wizards. Or mages, I guess it would be called. And now I'm all the way at the end. I had 2 health almost the whole time, but my team got super, super powerful because I committed to this build and I finally won. But the big thought, it doesn't matter if you win. It just matters that you're learning more as you continue to play. I think that's the big, big thought. Keep playing, keep learning, and just start noticing what is happening. Notice what the positioning is doing. Noticing what your units are doing. I hope some of this helped. I know it's a little all over the place. There's a lot to learn with auto chess, but these are some of my beginner tips. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye. Mwah!